my name is Geraldine, and today I will be giving a speech on how to drive stick. And today I have my audience members with me. So while learning how to drive stick, it can be really frustrating in the beginning, but after you learn, you feel kind of like an empowerment, and it's also a really good skill to have. Although, according to Edmunds, by August 13th, new cars sold in the US with manual trannies or transmissions had dropped to 3.9%. There might be one day that you find your dream car and it happens to be manual, so it'll be a good skill to have and learn, and it'll be convenient already that you know how to drive. So when you start learning how to drive stick, you need to know what you're looking in front of you when you're sitting in the driver's seat in order to begin. So when you're looking at the driver's seat, you'll have, typically most cars will have 5 to 6 gears or 5 to 6 speeds without the reverse. So here we have our typical 5-speed plus our reverse. So you go from first to second, second to third, third to fourth, and then fourth to fifth, and then there's your reverse and neutral. So when you start learning, you'll also have your clutch pedal, which is all the way to the left, your brake in the middle, and your acceleration to the right. Unlike automatic cars where you use only your right foot to drive, one foot, in a manual car you'll be using two. Your left foot will be dominating the clutch, and your right foot will be dominating the brake and the accelerator as in an automatic car. So the first step is to turn on your manual transmission car. Some cars, it depends on the type and the model and the year. Some cars, when you turn it on, it'll just be like turning on a regular automatic car. But most cars, most manual cars, you'll have to press down with your left foot the clutch all the way down to the floor, release the e-brake, and then just turn on the ignition and make sure you have your gear shifter in neutral. Once you've done that, you successfully turned on your manual car. After turning on your car, you need to get familiar with shifting, when to shift, and how to disengage and engage your clutch. So once you turn it on, you successfully started your car. To take off, you'll release the e-brake down. You'll step all the way down on the clutch with your left foot, and you'll shift over your shift knob from neutral all the way to the right and up. You're in first gear. Now the tricky part is taking off of first gear. That's always the hardest part when learning how to drive stick. So once you have your clutch down, your gear in first, you're gonna slowly let off the clutch. So this is an example. I always use when teaching people how to drive stick, I use the seesaw example. So you're clutched in with your left, and then when you start giving it gas with your right, you slowly let off the clutch. And that's how, once you start rolling, that's when you can let go of the clutch completely. But be careful, if you give it too much gas while you're clutched in, or clutched in halfway, you're gonna burn the clutch. Or if you don't give it enough gas and you're still clutched in or clutched in halfway, your car will stop. And stalling is when your car just turns off. And if it does, nothing happens, it's okay. Typically you're not supposed to do that as it puts stress on the transmission. But when you're learning, it's okay. So once you successfully take off from first, you have to get familiar with shifting gears. So when you shift from first to second or any gear to any gear, you're supposed to shift around 3,000 RPMs or 3,000 revolutions per minute. So when you're shifting from first to second, it'll be around 15 miles per hour. So first to second, 1 to 15 miles per hour, 2 to 3, 15 to 30 miles per hour, and so on. So once you're in gear and you start shifting, to shift, you step down on the clutch. Well, first you release the gas, then step down on the clutch. If you don't do that, once again, you'll burn through your clutch. So you release the accelerator, step down on the clutch with your left foot. You shift from first to second, and then you do the same motion when you first start your car. When you first take off, you do the seesaw motion, you press back on the accelerator and let go of the clutch. And you do that from every gear. So first to second is 1 to 15 miles per hour. 2 to 3 is 20 to 30, well 15 to 30. 3 to 4 is 30 to 40. 4 to 5 is 40 to 60. If you do have a 6-speed, so the 6-speed will be down here where the reverse is, and normally the reverse will be here and up. So when you do have a 6-speed, it'll be from 60 to 75. But in this case, we just have a 5-speed. So once you get the hang of that, you'll be successfully driving down the street with your manual car. The next step is learning how to come to a complete stop. And what most people get confused is, since they can't press the clutch and the accelerator at the same time, they don't think they can press the clutch and the brake at the same time, but you can. So to come to a complete stop, you press down on the clutch, you release whatever gear it's in, normally in 5th gear, if you're going at high speeds, and you bring it back to neutral. Once you do that, you can start pressing on the brake, or you can press the brake at the same time while you're doing that. And then you release the clutch once it's in neutral and just press the brake all the way down and come to a complete stop, either at a stop sign or the red light. And after the red light, after learning how to come to a complete stop, it's parking. So when you pull up into a parking space, you'll do the same thing as coming to a complete stop. And then you're in neutral, you press it to the brake. Once you're there, before you let go of the brake, you pull up the e-brake. That prevents the car from either rolling back if you're inclined or rolling forward if you're on a hill. Since your car doesn't have a parking gear, the e-brake helps you. So once you pull up the e-brake, put it in neutral, you can turn off the ignition. And once you've done that, you successfully parked your car. And that's typically all the steps. Once you get the hang of everything, which is going to take a while, but it's not as hard, you'll successfully learn how to drive a stick car. My personal experience, I love driving my stick car. It's really fun. It's also really good on gas mileage. That's what a lot of people say. And it's not as hard as people make it seem. But once you get the hang of it, it just takes time and practice, and you'll be good in no time.